Okay, time to make a call.
Okay, call since Stephanie is flying the friendly skies. You're stuck with me. Call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock on the dot. Everybody's here except Steph. We can see one alternate for her. Anybody want
See Lisa?
Yeah, Lisa.
Steph.
I'll second it.
to go to a roll call? What's a roll call vote still? There is.
Not if it's unanimous.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. New business, from last week, Wellington FD #1, request for funds to purchase and install an RV for EMT accommodation. Chief Morris here.
Thank you, and thank you for coming back a week later. So after the last meeting, we did do a lot of research we worked with Chief Snyder from Wellington Hill, discussed the two options with either using the station up here or the church. Both would require modifications to the buildings to be able to make that work. And it would not be a quick solution. We did look at the construction trailer. That was about just over $17,000 to get it before outfitting it. Excuse me. And that was to rent it for up to 18 months. We would have to get an electric drop meter put on it, but then talking with the building official, you can't occupy them for 24 hours a day because it's not considered residential. They're considered office something. I don't know the exact, I didn't write down the exact terminology. So we were able to find a couple of different 4-season campers under $15,000 from two different, they're actually from dealers. They're not private sales. They're from vendors. They're 4-season with the heated underbellies. That we would like to purchase one of them. We would take it to the Board of Selectmen next, but we need your authorization first. So I'm up for any questions, comments, concerns.
How do your staff feel about?
Staff, so we have had lengthy discussions with our staff. As long as they're not in the kitchen, they don't care where they are. The one request they did have was not in the church. Nobody was overly comfortable with sleeping in a church, just they were fine with a camper.
It's potentially, I mean, this
Yeah,
could
it
be
could
a
be-
longer term.
And they know that.
Yeah, okay.
They do not want to be in the kitchen. They don't want to be in the kitchen. That is.
Building, but you said you talked.
We talked to the fire marshal and building official, both are fine. And we talked to zoning just to make sure that we weren't outside of any scope. The only thing that we will have to do, the building official will come down when they do the propane, just to sign off on the propane, because we'll hook it to the main line rather than to 25 or 50 pound tanks.
Yeah.
And then the health department just has to sign off on the direct sewer hookup.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah, so we did talk, they told me the new name and I completely forgot. It's not Holly anymore. It's
Chris.
Chris. Chris will have to come out just to sign off of how they're gonna, waypoints already looked at where they would hook it up if we were to do it.
And power, you have.
Power, we have. Yeah.
So the one thing I know about old campers is that they leak and then you get mold. I know this
We're
for
really
sure.
hoping that that's not the case. So the two that we have looked at, both have no leaks. They will be gone through by the company before we get there, or before we would take delivery. The day I looked at the one that we would hopefully buy, it was raining and there was no signs of water inside of it at all. It didn't smell wet, didn't smell musty.
That's good. And you can seal the roof too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it looked like they had done some sealing. The one that we're looking at is a 2011. So there was some seal stuff, like there was a window that was resealed. But as a full bathroom, kitchen, sitting area.
Do you only
And a bed.
have one staff member that sleeps overnight at any given time?
2.
So it says, that your plan is suitable living conditions for one.
Correct. So one would stay at the south station on the 143 River Road. The other would come up to the main station at 426 River Road.
And the main station or the south station, that's where they don't want to sleep in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. So right now, both of them are there.
But they're not both in the kitchen.
They're not. One is in a kitchen, one is in a day room.
I got it.
How does that affect you guys operationally? If,
So we do have a set of plans from COVID, because this is how we did it with COVID, where they were split for over a year. So we do have a set of plans of how they run every medical call and motor vehicle accident, stuff like that. It actually makes it easier now with the second ambulance, just because depending on the call type, which one will go. So we'll actually we'll use out of both trucks.
You planning on keeping this thing outside?
Yes, it's staying outside. That's why we did find the Four Season to make sure it had the heated under stuff in the lines.
Gotta imagine that even if this thing burns a boatload of propane in the winter, that you're not necessarily heating the station,
So
cooling the station year
Right.
round.
So they actually
You'll
said
probably
that
offset.
it's actually, because it's Four Season, the insulation is much better in it. It's probably not as great as a house by any stretch of imagination. But
Yeah, but at least it's somewhat appropriate. It's as appropriate as I think.
Are you gonna have something for the mice? Are you gonna like have one of those,
Yeah, they came for free.
ultrasound things in there?
honestly, we didn't think of that, but,
Well, if you're upset about mold, wouldn't you be
Yeah.
upset about mice?
oh yeah, I mean,
Okay,
we use Wellington Termite comes out to, not so much the main station anymore, but they come out monthly to the main station, because.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna arm it so that you're gonna
Yes.
try to protect it as much as.
Oh,
possible.
absolutely, yeah, that is the plan, is to protect it, so
Okay.
that as soon as we're done with it, the town will be able to sell it and hopefully recoup.
So this will be a town piece of equipment, not a, how does that
That
work?
is, our recommendation is that the town,
If I may. Donna and I had several conversations about where the funding would come from, and I know she spoke last week. And today, when we spoke, she thought it would be best for the funds to go into the general government budget, into 930, and the suggested action you have reflects that. That way, it would be owned by the town. And the money would not go into the fire department fund. Chief Moore had actually said to me on multiple occasions, he would prefer that the town own it, and I thought that was, if we were using these additional funds. And so Donna's recommendation lines up with that. So if we were to sell this later, the funds would go back to the town.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
and we wanna make sure of that as well, rather than if myself or this does happen, if I'm not here or President Gannick's not here, that it does come back to the town.
And in a typical transfer fund to the fire department fund, the funds carry over. So they would sit in that fund, and this way, anything unused from the amount that you possibly transfer would then be returned at the end of the fiscal year, unless you chose to transfer them somewhere else.
Does the town buying it from the general fund affect this section 7348? Because that goes to occasions where money is needed for any department.
So
And
this would
be,
overspend 930. So the department capital expenditures,
got
the
it.
funds that are in there are already earmarked
Yep.
for items out of the CIP.
All right, so the department we're talking about here is CIP, not the fire
Correct.
department.
Correct.
Got it.
are there other costs for like shipping or?
So that's why we were at 15,000, so the trailer's just about 13.
Mhm.
It was about $1,000 for the prep and delivery, stuff like that. The last part of it was to get the propane hooked up. Any other expenses would come out of our regular building maintenance budget.
I know that they make these skirts for the winter.
Yep.
I don't know how much those cost, but that might help.
They're supposed to tell us, we were trying to get them to throw that in for free, but
Yeah.
we're trying. The other thing they asked, or they said, was to use hay bales.
Yeah.
Line it with hay bales, and if we can get that skirt to go around it. But that, if we were to exceed, we would use our operating budget to do that.
Okay.
Use some of that blue board you got at the other
We've reached the limit of my RV knowledge for pretending.
I've learned more about RVs in the last 2 weeks than I ever thought I would ever need to, so.
Do you ever wanted to? Probably.
Correct.
Does it have slides?
One slide out,
That's good,
yes,
that's good.
don't know.
yeah, because it's,
You know, they come out to.
I'm
make-
actually, I'm sorry, too,
And they
because
break all the time. And it's.
it's gonna stay
expensive.
out, we're not moving it, it's staying in place, so the hope is it goes out, and stays out.
You got a good spot for it?
Huh?
You got a good spot for it on site? It's gonna be out of the way?
Yes.
I mean,
So put it right over the septic tank so it drains right in?
No,
Oh,
Oh, what do you do then?
we'll have the hose to the septic, but it'll be on the, we don't wanna put it on the grass, it'll be on the pavement,
okay.
Oh, okay, but near,
near the septic.
okay.
Yes,
That's
so
fine.
because of the propane, we have to be 25. It's gonna be in the area of the shed. I don't know if anybody remembers during COVID, we had a camper there. It's gonna be in about the same area. Because we have to be 25 feet off of the propane tank.
More exciting if it was on top of the propane tank.
no, I mean,
Joe, you got any questions? Jim?
thanks for doing the research and.
To me, this is the
In like 2 business
most
days.
painless, quickest,
Our hope is to have it done as quick as we can, because we're waiting to get that person.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanna make sure that you guys are.
Yep.
That your guys are gonna be comfortable, guys and
Yes.
gals, are gonna be, okay, it's not ideal, but.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be the same 2 people that share the trailer and the same 2 people that share the station?
It changes daily,
Okay,
so,
good, so they're all ready for that?
yes.
Ready?
can we, entertain this motion here?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we, take $15,000 from the general fund balance, move it to line item 930 capital expenditures for the purpose of, funding and installing an RV for EMT accommodation at Station 13 while the mold situation is resolved. Do I have to read it exactly the way it's
No,
here?
there's-
Because it's going to, you
Doesn't,
guys
there's no
have.
town, unless you're recommending a town meeting, you're just making a transfer.
I would
Beautiful.
say also that to be owned by the town.
For the town too?
Yeah, that was the town purchase. That's.
Okay, so you didn't say
I
that,
think,
but
well,
I think you should say the motion just as is, yeah. If I.
all right, I'd like to move an additional appropriation for the FY 23-24 general government budget. The requested funds are for a town purchase and installation of an RV for EMT accommodation at Station 13 while the mold situation is resolved. Moving $15,000 from the general fund balance to line item 930 capital expenditures.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Any more discussion?
If it comes in at 14,000, that's all it's gonna be spent, right? If
Well, they only have 15,000, so.
Yeah,
And everything has to be, with it being a town
Right,
asset, everything's gotta be approved by the board.
right, so, okay,
so no vendor has been approved there.
So it's up to 15,000.
yep.
Okay, we ready to vote?
I am, yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We got a second for Joe. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right, quick and painless.
See you, Joe.
So,
Thank you,
Take
everybody.
care. Have a good evening.
wasn't